My IOC is over the poem Between Going and Coming by Mexican poet Octavio Paz. It's a 16-line poem that begins with a 4-line stanza and is followed by 6 2-line stanzas. The whole poem has no real rhyme scheme. It's sort of just a free verse. Reading this poem, I felt there was two strong interpretations of it, and the first was being in reference to death and the idea that one chooses their moment of passing. The very first line, between going and staying, the day wavers, sets up this idea. In line 6, it talks about all being visible, but all being elusive, like the memories you can and can't recall, but you've lived through them all. The same sort of idea is reflected in lines 13 and 14, talking about seeing yourself and watching yourself, which supports a theory of your life flashing before your eyes. It talks about the light in lines 11 and 12. A common idea about dying is seeing like the light. So that was almost a reference to what it would be like if the light was there. And it's as if the light is breaking the wall, like the thing that separates us from like living and dead and being in the moment alive and being in the moment dead, and that this light is causing us like to be removed from our life, and it's leaving it as a reflection of like our past, as like a ghost. So the light is what sort of just like seeing that light, it's like what transfers you from that moment of living to that moment of no longer living. The last stanza talks of first the moment, the life ending. So it's no grand moment, it's just to mark the end, simply 1 second here, the next gone, and it's just a moment that is here 1 second and then it just scatters. The last line, I stay and go, I am a pause. While not physically here, that person is still here through the memories, through the people, through the hearts touched by this person. And those memories will live on and will be passed on, photographs, everything. But they aren't here like in that physical state anymore. And they've also gone on to whatever comes next. They are paused, like they haven't stopped being here, but it's no longer playing out. Like you remember everything that's happened up until this moment, but you don't know what comes next. The second interpretation of it has to do with perception and our awareness of like time and its effect on us. It's as if the writer is speaking of a moment where time like almost ceases to exist, and it's almost circular, as like it says in line 3. Lines 5 and 6 go on to describe how time is something we can see like in the wrinkles on our skin, or like when the sun sets, or just like see physically on a clock the hand each second passing, another second going on. But at the same time, it's something that like we can't hold in our hand, we can't stop it, and you can't just like take time, you cannot hold time in your hand. It's unattainable, it's untouchable. Can't put some in your pocket and save it for a rainy day, although that would be really nice. In line 2, it speaks of transparency, which I think it just like also like further goes on with that idea that it's like it's there but it's not there. Like you can see it, but you can't see it. Which just further goes on to describe that like you cannot touch time. You can feel time, but you can't touch time. Lines 8 and 9, paper, book, pencil, glass, rest in the shade of their names. That idea that like time has stopped would make it where these objects are like being listed off and they're not changing. They're in the moment, it is a pencil, and time has stopped, and in that second it is always going to be a pencil. But on the flip side of that, it could also be like that it just appears that time has not changed. Like you're staring at a second, and time is not evident in that moment. It's like when you're like looking at the same spot of still water, and it doesn't appear to be moving or changing in any way, but yet with like every passing second, the molecules are shifting into something different, and so that water you were looking at, although it seems unchanged, has changed. Finally, you come to lines 9 and 10. Personally, these are two of my favorite lines, just because of the imagery. Like I can feel that. I can feel that pulsing, like in my mind, and I can just feel the blood rushing in that pulse over and over. And it's like as if to say like time is repetitive. Each second is constantly passing, like just as the last had. But like it's like each second isn't different. Like it's the same continual action of a second passing, a minute passing, an hour passing. Like time does not change, but like we do. And that's where we get that perception that time is passing. And then it's just, at the end, it's just the moment scatters and it's motionless. Like 1 minute you're here and the next minute you're there. And it's not like a big transition. You don't even have to move for a second to pass. I honestly prefer to read the poem as a reference to death. I like to take it that way simply because I enjoy the relatability of it. But I also enjoy the like philosophical idea of time and how it's something that we can't obtain in any sort of way really, but yet it's constantly affecting our lives and changing our lives. But yeah, that's my poem. I hope you enjoyed.